All right, the future of the NFL hangs in the balance. The draft is just 2 days away. Franchises will be shaped, molded, possibly shaken and destroyed for years to come. So, this is the NFL Draft Special, the Mark and Macy Show NFL Draft Special. I'm calling it right now, Macy. I know we didn't talk about this, we didn't decide it, but I'm going to call it. And we bring in Rick Saratella from the NFL Draft Bible, but Macy, NFL Draft. What do you think? Are you somewhat psyched?
You know what? Like, of course I am. It's the NFL draft. Everyone gets so excited because it's your little taste of the NFL. But like I said, this will be my first year not watching it, so I kind of feel like it's gonna come and go. By Friday I'll probably be doing God knows what, and then the weekend will be here. It's birthday weekend, so um, I can't say I'm gonna be watching too much or paying too much attention, which hurts. But at the same time, you need to have some fun for yourself.
Yes, you do have a life.
Yes,
There are three of us here, and somebody has a life, so enjoy.
you have
That's
to.
that's good stuff. So we're a little bit off our game here. It's a Tuesday night, but we just had to knock out a show this week and get everybody set for the NFL draft. So we bring in Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible. Rick, you're at the NFL draft right there in Chicago, ready to roll. So what time did you get in?
We touched down. We got in about noontime Central. Coming from the East Coast, I'm on Central Time now, and I'm already getting itchy for my East Coast food because Chicago just doesn't cut it. They don't know good food out here. I hate to say it.
They know their pizza, Rick. Come on.
I'm from Jersey, man. Give me a slice of pie like this.
There's nothing I love more than Chicago deep dish pizza.
Yeah, it's growing on me. I mean, the first time I went to Chicago, I was just like, eh. And the second time, I said, you know what? I just can't eat pizza with a fork and knife. It's not considered pizza after that. So I got the deep dish. I ate it with my hands, and it tasted better. So we're gonna go in for round three this time.
All right, well, if you're coming back to Jersey, then bring some back. We can eat some pizza together, and you can give me the whole rundown on what happened at the draft. Sound good?
Yeah, we'll come back next week and do it again. I mean, this is two appearances in 2 weeks. I can get used to this.
You are becoming the A-lister, Rick. And by the way, Rick, let's be kind here because there's somebody here between the three of us who was actually born in Chicago. I can tell you nothing about Chicago. I was there until I was like 2 years old, but I
Okay.
was born in Chicago. So
All right. So you're not a native Chicagoan,
no,
but
not hardly.
some, like Shaquille O'Neal, he was born in Newark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick,
Or
so what's the vibe like out there? Is it buzzing?
Not yet. I was kind of surprised. I got off in the airport, and I saw like one rinky-dink sign in the corner, and then driving in, there was a sign on the subway. Walking downtown, it's like it's not full go yet. They're kind of still putting on the finishing touches, but I expect it to pick up tomorrow. We have a great NFL Play 60 event where the 25 red carpet guys. I'll get a chance to go one-on-one with them. I'll post them on the website. So that's really, the way that they've kind of put the little media in a box now at the NFL draft since they moved to Chicago. If you're not ESPN or NFL Network, you're kind of like over here in the box. So the NFL Play 60 event now has like become the highlight of my draft weekend. And day three, they don't even have a spot for the media. Last year I had to come back to the hotel room and set up a war room. And I had not watched the NFL draft coverage in 14 years. I did not realize how terrible it was.
okay. I will not be passing that along to anyone at work. But
I
the
apologize.
adrenaline's got to be pumping. This is your time of
No,
year,
Louis
Rick.
Riddick though, is an upcoming guy. Louis Riddick does a great job over there.
This is your time of year, Rick. The adrenaline's got to be pumping. This is it.
Draft fever, man. It's like this is what we do, and it's incredible because I'm already looking at the big board for next year. We got over 2,000 guys ranked. We're gonna bang them and bop them over the head, hit them with that the day after the draft. So stay tuned for that one.
Well, lucky for you and your traffic on your website, this is probably much more of a fanaticism than it was X number of years ago. So people are thinking about this full time, and you're right. People are going to start talking right away about next year. But we're not going to get to next year. Let's get to this year. What Macy and I can only just barely keep up with the NFL draft happening right now. So we talked a little bit about it last week. Actually, we talked at length about it last week. The big decision that the Rams are going to have to make between the two quarterbacks, and you are squarely in the Carson Wentz camp. All right.
Yes.
We know that. So if you are the Eagles with the second pick, you're not even going to go quarterback. If Wentz is gone, you're not going quarterback. You're going in another direction.
Yeah, I mean, the assumption is Goff 1, Wentz 2, and I'd be shocked if it wasn't the case. But if something shocking does develop, then, they could probably go a number of ways. I mean, the Eagles are a team that's kind of cleaning house, in my opinion. You see Howie Roseman kind of trying to discard the Chip Kelly players very quickly. So they've turned over their roster, and it's going to get interesting after the second pick there because, whether it's Tunsil or Ramsey, it's going to have a trickle-down effect. And, you throw the Cowboys in at 4 with the suspension with DeMarcus Lawrence now. So it's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of trades. But I assume it's going to be Goff and Wentz. And I think the Eagles traded up to number 2, operating under the assumption that they're going to have Carson Wentz. And I don't think the Rams would trade up to the number 1 and not know who they're taking. And I think there's something to do with L.A., the move to L.A., get the Cal Golden Boy. I think there's a little PR, marketing, ticket sales involved. Not necessarily how I would operate, but I do think that plays a factor.
So how do you so the Eagles, this week Sam Bradford says he wants it. If the Eagles don't take a quarterback, what position does that leave them in with Sam Bradford saying he wants to be traded?
It's funny. Sam Bradford makes me laugh because all of a sudden he's unhappy, but I think it's everybody else that paid the big bucks to him that should be unhappy because he doesn't produce. And, he did this little trick at the end of the season. He played like 4 good games at the end of the year and got Philadelphia to dole out all this money to him. And then, the Eagles now trade up to take a quarterback, and his agent says Sam Bradford wants a trade. We want to go play for a team that believes in us long term. Well, if that's the case, then why did you sign a 2-year contract? So, to me, this is the beginning of a disgruntled marriage. We see one in San Francisco too with Colin Kaepernick, and who knows, maybe they swap quarterbacks. But I find it hard to believe that there's any team out there willing to pay that kind of money. I think $25 million guaranteed. I just don't think there's a team out there. You heard the Denver Broncos were sniffing around, but the price was too high. I can't envision myself a team taking on that contract.
So how do you impact the quarterback?
How does it impact the Eagles?
No, veteran quarterbacks, like just in the league.
Veterans. Well, it's like a merry-go-round right now, and I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick cost himself a lot of money. I think he's going to find out he left money on the table because hey, the Jets are willing to pay him more right now than anybody else, $7 million a year. He's turning that down. After the draft, your value is going to be down because chances are the Jets or the Bills or the Broncos or maybe all 3 of them are going to have added a quarterback in the draft. And then guess what? Well, Ryan, we don't need you so much after all. And then, you take a look at Colin Kaepernick. He might be available for trade. I think that trade is really going to reignite come the draft. I think John Elway will be on the phone wheeling and dealing. And, Colin Kaepernick has a decision to make. Does he want to take that pay cut from $12 million down to $7 million and play for the defending Super Bowl champions? Or does he want to be unhappy in an environment where he's going to earn $12 million? If it was me, I'd bet on myself. I'd say, send me to Denver. I'll take the $7 million this year. Let me show you how I get down. We'll go win the Super Bowl again, and then you get paid. But, it's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes down, the breakdown. I hear the Browns were higher on Paxton Lynch than they were Jared Goff, so that they could be in the mix there. San Francisco's a wild card because if they don't like Lynch, then they might trade back, and the Jets and the Bills might move up ahead of the Browns for Paxton Lynch. So it's going to be really, it's going to be one of the more wild drafts, especially with the trades and the quarterbacks moving, and a lot of question marks there.
Rick, we didn't bring Paxton Lynch into the quarterback conversation last week. What are your thoughts on him and his long-term potential at 6'7"? He's a big kid.
Yeah, I think that's the word, potential. And, if you're asking him to step in from day one, I'm not feeling so confident about that. But you talk about Denver, I mean, that's a great, great place for him to develop. And, Mark Sanchez isn't the ideal starting quarterback, but maybe you sit him behind Sanchez for a year or maybe 8 games. I remember the Giants took Eli Manning when they had Kurt Warner. Warner started the first 8 games. Maybe Lynch progresses where he can start sooner rather than later. But I see a guy with I had a chance to sit in on the throwing sessions at the Combine. 2 of the guys I saw were Wentz and Lynch were in that group. And there was 3 consecutive throws where Lynch just dropped it right in the bucket, 45, 50-yard bombs. I mean, the receiver didn't have to break stride or anything. It was right there. And when you talk about that kind of arm strength, it's rare. I mean, he's just flicking the wrist and boom, 50 yards, boom, in the bucket. Now, when you take a look at the short to intermediate passing game, there's some development that needs to be done there. A lot of people think, he's a product of the system, but I'll tell you, man, the kid with this height and the athleticism and the arm, I mean, he has all the tools that you look for. I just think it needs to be developed a little bit more where, Goff and Wentz, I think, are more ready to step in day one, start from the gate. I think Lynch might need at least a year of seasoning.
I'm going to jump in with one other question before Macy steals the show. I got to get an Ohio State question in before she just cuts me off and doesn't let me go from there. Hey, it's justified. Just like Christian Hackenberg last week, justified. Right. We have Ohio State possibly dominating this first round, and the only reason I bring up Rick, regardless of what look she gives here, I'm a completely neutral college football and NFL analyst here. This is only because this is the storyline. Okay, Ezekiel Elliott going as high as 4, a running back at number 4. Do you see this happening? I see some projections going down this road with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with a team that said Ezekiel Elliott is a guy that teams are going to trade into the top 10 and try to get. So right now, you have Miami at 12 or 13 eyeing them, but from my understanding, it's the Falcons and the Redskins, the 2 teams looking to trade into the top 10 for Ezekiel Elliott. Now, number 4, to me, you kind of contradicted yourself in free agency. If you draft Ezekiel Elliott, why did you sign Alfred Morris? And, Darren McFadden ran for 1,000 yards last year, and you have a whole bunch of other boatload needs. Aside from running back, you need a pass rusher, you need a backup quarterback, probably need another playmaker at wide receiver before I get to the running back need. And, I could probably gain 1,000 yards behind that offensive line. Now, Ezekiel Elliott, he is a difference maker, so, I do see value in that. But considering they just signed Alfred Morris, I think the Cowboys have to bypass him just because of other needs. But I do think we mentioned San Fran. If they're not high on Lynch, that might be where the trade-up happens, where someone jumps in and grabs Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay, we're going to let Macy shake the scowl off her face and ask some questions that are not Ohio State related, I'm sure.
Actually, so to piggyback off of Ohio State's definitely going to be having a big draft party. Which other schools do you think will be kind of celebrating, over the weekend?
I mean, Alabama usually is really in the mix. I think Michigan State has some good players. You take a look, not just at Connor Cook, they got Aaron Burbridge. Take a look at a guy like their defensive lineman.
Shalil Calhoun.
Yes, Shalil Calhoun. He's a Jersey guy.
Jack Conklin.
And Conklin and Lawrence Thomas on that defensive line too, run stuff and defensive tackle. So Michigan State has some players, and you take a look at what they've done there. Pro-style type of offense. They put some quarterbacks in the league, Hoyer and Cousins. So who knows? Connor Cook, he's got more snaps, more reps, and more starts than any quarterback in this draft.
And you know, Rick, Ole Miss has that big three of Robert Nkemdiche, Laramie Tunsil, who's probably the second or third player drafted. Maybe he might slide if the Cowboys really want to go running back, and Jalen Ramsey, being the athlete that he is, goes to the Chargers. But Laramie Tunsil, many think, is the best player at his position in the draft, period. And then, of course, Laquan Treadwell, a wide receiver, who the Giants are looking at among some other teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point you make. You wonder, you look back and you say, why didn't they win more games, right? But yeah, I mean, you mentioned Tunsil is interesting because I'm hearing some teams actually have Ronnie Stanley rated a little bit higher, and Tunsil to me is like the Teflon Don. Nothing sticks to this guy. I mean, you go back to when they recruited him with his brother. It was a package deal. People kind of tend to forget about that. Then he had the suspension, the domestic dispute. He gets brought up at the combine. Nkemdiche says, "Oh, by the way, Laramie Tunsil was hanging out at the hotel room too." And it's like none of this ever gets brought up. And aside from that, on the field, I mean, I think a lot of people value Ronnie Stanley's passing ability, pass blocking coverage ability a little bit more. So I think the knock on Stanley is you hear he's soft, and that's where Tunsil wins because he's just a tenacious guy. He's violent. He's rough. He's a run mauler. So, and he looks I mean, if you were to mold the prototypical left tackle, right, you would pop out Laramie Tunsil. But I wouldn't be surprised if Stanley goes ahead of Tunsil. And it's interesting because from everything I hear, the Chargers are in love with Jalen Ramsey. So if the quarterbacks go 1 and 2, Ramsey goes 3. Cowboys say they go Bosa and fill that need. And now Jacksonville, they're not necessarily in the market for a tackle, so he could actually fall all the way to the Ravens in their lap at number 6.
Who's not in market for a tackle? I thought everybody was in the market for a tackle. There is no shortage of good tackles. You need, it's almost like pitching in baseball. But Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible. Rick, we could talk NFL Draft all night. Macy's got a bedtime that she needs to keep. I'm going to let her take it home. Macy, if you have any other questions or comments to make with Rick, go right ahead.
I just want to know, how badly do you feel Deflategate either maybe hurt or didn't really hurt the New England Patriots in this draft?
Yeah, I had a chance to pick up the New York Post before I departed LaGuardia, and the front page, Tom's Soft Balls. Tom's Soft Balls got the Patriots in a little bit of trouble. I mean, their first 4 games, I think 3 of them are winnable. If they come out of it 2-2, I think they're in good shape. But I think it's an opportunity for every downfall, not just in football, but in life. There's always an opportunity or upside for somebody else. And how about this kid, Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, hey, A.J. McCarron didn't want in at the Senior Bowl a couple years ago, so Jimmy Garoppolo said, hey, I'll come play. And all he did was escalate his draft status to a second-round pick out of Eastern Illinois, following in those Tony Romo footsteps. So I feel like, Brady's getting up there. I know he wants to play another 5 years, but he's going to be about 37, 38 years old. So why not find out what we have, right? If Brady retires, we got the next guy on the come-up. And if he does really well, then, hey, we trade him off and get another first-round pick or something like that. So I think, it hurts them early on in the year where it doesn't really matter as much. They'll have him for the final back-end 12 games. In a way, I think it kind of helps them in the long run find out what they have in Garoppolo.
All right, Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible. We know that you've been on with media outlets all day. Your voice is probably shot, and you end up the day with us and do a grade A job for us, Rick. But if we have you on a number of more times, especially as the A-lister here, Rick, you got to get us a couple T-shirts.
Oh, no doubt about it. Just email me the addresses. It's a done deal.
Very nice. All right, Rick, enjoy the weekend. Don't study up too much. I think your brain can't contain any more knowledge there. It's probably tapped out at this point.
It's exploding over here with knowledge, but we're trying to educate some folks here, and we work all year for this. 363 days to get to this point. So hopefully you guys learned something. But I appreciate coming on the show, and I'm telling you, watch out, man. This might become a regular thing. I might be back on the show next week.
Hey, You are welcome. You are welcome. You're bailing us out, giving us dropping down the knowledge. No doubt about that. Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible. All right, Rick, you have a good time in the Windy City.
Thanks, you guys. Be talking soon. Give me the
Thanks.
address. Get some swag.
That's it. Definitely, definitely. See you, Rick. All right, Macy, we know that we're a little off schedule this week. We want to remind everyone that it's typically Thursday night at 6:45 Eastern Time on Blab. We're on Google Hangouts tonight. Had to move up the show, but we still got it in this week, and we had to move it up because somebody is a big week.
Yeah, well, it happens. But we find ways to work around it, and we always find a way to make our show happen. But in case I'm not here or you're not here, I think Rick might be one of our fill-ins. Just a thought.
So you're looking to replace me already. Very nice.
No, I'm saying if I'm not here, good. He can entertain Mark now. I was just kidding. But yeah, I think having Rick is always a great guest. So it was worth every minute doing a Tuesday night show before the draft, before it gets too wild for him. So I'm glad we could have him again and just talk NFL draft.
Okay, Macy. So we're going to wrap it up here. But before we do, you need to talk for like 30 seconds. So whatever you want to talk about, you can talk about what you got planned the rest of the week. You can talk about our fantasy baseball league and how great you're doing. You can talk about any of that stuff because I just thought of something. Something I just said reminded me of something that I'm gonna see what I can rummage up here.
Okay, so 30 seconds of my life on the fantasy baseball draft. Haven't really caught up with that one too much this week. I get all the notifications, but haven't really looked into it. Tomorrow is my 25th birthday, so I will be old. Thursday, I'm going to my first Pearl Jam concert, which I've been waiting for my entire life, hence the show tonight. And Saturday, I'm shooting a photo shoot for Philadelphia Magazine. So that's kind of my life right now. I've been totally crazy, but loving every second of it, doing some cool things. Mark, I love talking to a blank wall and just a microphone. But yeah, my life is totally cool.
Okay, Macy, it's your birthday tomorrow. We're going to celebrate like 2 hours early. So this is the best I could do. I was rummaging around in the cupboard here.
Don't catch anything on fire.
What's that?
Don't light anything on fire.
No. We're not going there.
Okay, good.
We're just gonna, let's see. We had a hat, so I could have thrown a hat on here. Yeah, I don't think I'll try that.
So funny.
Sure, why not? I'll play the fool. I'll play the clown here. And sorry, this is all we had in the cupboard. So you're either 61 or you're 16 or you're 6 or you're 1 or you're 91 or 19. Take your pick. You got.
Take me to. I'll go 19.
You go 19 again. I would do. I can't do this. I'm sorry. I can't believe it lasted that long.
I love it. Love it. Looks great.
And whatever this is, I don't even know what that is. I can't believe I ever purchased that. I don't even know what it is.
It's to hold balloons down.
Okay, I got
Or
you.
like a tablecloth.
Yeah, I had a bunch of these up there.
Yeah.
So yes, happy birthday.
Thank you.
So enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll be back with everybody next week on Thursday night, hopefully on Blab at 6:45.
Sounds wonderful.
See ya.